And your shako yo de kill him. Mama tuku tuku kill him. Me I go carry you go cinema. Baby ma, cinema. I go hold you like the Oroma. Baby ma, shake it ma, cause I go chop you like hungry ma. Yo 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 yo. My Oroma baby, you sweet like tangerine. If in a baby, give it to me. Get it wa wa, 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 get it wa wa. This your love is sweet like tangerine. Baby, you will love me.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Rise and shine. Let's get ready to take on the day. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so time here in SVG, it is 7:20, and already on the line, we have Mr. Peejohn. Good morning, everybody. Sorry. And first on, we have on the line Mr. Peejohn, who will be bringing us his commentary for today. So, Peejohn, good morning to you.
Good morning, Roleza. Is Dianna there?
Hi, yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Dianna. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Now, I'm one of those persons who pick up a local newspaper every Friday. Well, all three. In fact, my weekend is not complete unless I have all three papers to peruse. These days, I pay particular attention to the editorials, the regular columns, letters to the editors, and so on. Now, depending on the subject matter, a few feature stories may capture my attention. There was a time when I attempted to read the papers from cover to cover, but I no longer do that. I don't find them to be as attractive and compelling as a few years ago. In fact, rushing to buy a newspaper or any of the newspapers these days seem like a waste of time and a waste of money. Here are a few of my concerns. One, the news stories are redundant. It is likely that you have read or heard it before. Two, there's little or no effort to offer any in-depth or refreshing angle to a story. Number three, ads, interesting ads, are few and far between. In fact, most of the ads are placed by certain government departments, the courts, and lawyers' chambers. In fact, if you check this week's papers, you'll find that to be so. The fourth concern I have, the physical quality of the papers appears to be deteriorating. The printing is poor, and the paper is torn at the edges. There seems to be no care taken in the matter in which the paper is physically presented. And finally, of my concerns of many, there's inconsistency in publication. There are days when no paper comes out and there's no explanation. Now, perhaps we are witnessing this slow and painful death of the newspaper. I certainly hope not. As long as the papers are published, I will continue to buy. However, I urge the publishers to take a deep look at their respective publications and seek to implement measures to improve them. Now, some may argue that there's no place for the traditional paper, since everything is going digital and online. That may be so, but there's a place for the traditional paper. Devices cannot totally replace newsprint, especially when you're winding up activities on your throne. I understand what that means.
I got you, Peejohn. I got you.
Yes. So that's my rant for the day.
All right. So just to give some commentary on your commentary, I am also one of those persons who would buy the 3 papers, right? Every Friday I buy them, and Saturday morning, like, do not disturb me because that is when it is I'm reading my papers, right? And I do think though that yes, I do share your sentiment with, in particular, one newspaper that by the time we get it, a lot of the information that we read in it, we would have already seen online. That's in relation to one newspaper in particular, right? There is another newspaper, I'll call this one out, the Vincentian, where for me, that there is a difference in terms of the stories that I read in it, in terms of the court information, like court related stories, they're a bit more in detail, or they're also stories that we're not necessarily seeing in the other 2 papers, as well as I tend to find that they bring a lot of stories more from the diaspora, right? Things that are happening within the Vincentian community, especially within New York area, that you tend to find stories coming from there. What it is that I keep wondering, because I know that many persons are like, Roleza, you just still buy newspapers? And I'm like, yes, I still buy newspapers because for me, it's important to buy all 3 because either all 3 might have something different or the angle in which they bring the story might be different. So for me, it's always important to try to get as many sides as possible of a particular story, a particular incident, as much as possible. But in terms of passing on that sort of quote unquote tradition, how many parents actually tell their child or their children, these are the newspapers for the weekend, you are going to sit down for an hour or 2 hours and you are going to go through it. You're not necessarily going to point out to them the stories that they have to read, but there might be stories in there that they can choose to read. So how many parents are actually encouraging their children to continue to read the newspapers in that way, for there to be a continuity of the printing of newspapers and the tradition of reading newspapers and not just everything being on digital media? So plenty of times some things just go back to us as adults, so
Okay, so all the best.
all right. All right, thanks, Peejohn. All right, so time here in SVG, it is 7:26, and we are here with you for another morning here on WEFM, the Clean First Sound. In studio, you have the Roleza Samuel and
Dianna Cain. Good morning to everyone. I trust that you had an amazing weekend. I mean, a new month started over the weekend. So I'm hoping that with that new month, some new things are probably started for you, or maybe you just tweak some things a little bit. But I hope you had an amazing weekend. And I know that you are going to have an amazing week, because guess what? We are here activated mornings from now till Friday. Yay.
you had a good weekend though?
It was all right.
Okay.
Yeah, it was all right.
I had a superb, productive weekend because I got through a lot of things that I needed to get through it. So that's why it was superb. All right. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, newspapers are on the way out. I used to get all 3 papers at one time, even though I'm here in the diaspora, and read them all through. And even in Trinidad, they had a newspaper named Sunday Punch and The Bomb. They went out of business in 2018 after 36 years. Mm-hmm. Then we have the Daily News in New York here. I buy them just Saturday and Sunday, but they have declined over the years. The size has reduced considerably. I buy them, and sometimes I don't even read them. I don't buy them all the time. It's $3 on Sunday, $3 Saturday, $3.50 on Sunday. And a lot of places stop selling the newspapers now because they're not selling. So newspaper is on the decline. And I think that's because of the phones now, because see everything on your phone and everything, the digital world and everything, plus so much other thing you could do on your phone. I think that's what probably takes the time away from people trying to read newspapers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
All right, thanks. And one of the things to note with newspapers as well is that a lot of it runs on ads being placed in the papers, right, to keep their production going as well. So it's just the same like radio stations. There are some persons who will be like, our radio stations, as important as they were back then, everybody would flock to a radio station, or a radio station was a must. But how many persons, especially like younger persons, unless it's like particular programs that they're listening to, actually turn on a radio. Yep. And it's the same thing. Radio stations have to run an ad. So I think sometimes it's that whole integration that needs to be done. I know that the Searchlight does it in terms of them being on the digital media. They're in social media. They also have video stories on a YouTube page. So sometimes when they carry a story, they also have a QR code which you can scan and it will take you directly to a video link. So one of the things too is that it has to be that integration in terms of what is traditional as well as what is new and emerging, so that you don't necessarily have do away with a complete publication altogether. So, all right. So let's say this caller. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
I agree with Peejohn. Is it Peejohn?
Yes.
The print media is here to stay. I remember the Vincentian. I don't know how many listeners could remember the days of Mr. Mop. I think he was the typesetter, if that's what you call it. And the editor back then was a lady named Mrs. Peacock. I used to contribute to the Vincentian. I'm a fossil as well, I have pictures and so on, because back then I did photography. And the Vincentian still has a higher standard than other papers. Now, when it comes to talk radio, radio stations, I'm not going to touch that because I might be banned from your station. But we do have to step up to the plate in a lot of areas. And trust me, you guys swing a lot of power. And this is my story for the day. When our daughter was about 4 years old, she was walking around the house. I want to smoke a cigarette and drink an Amstel. At 4 years old, and I couldn't figure out why. So she said that when I questioned her, she said, it's a favorite radio station. So I decided to pay attention to that radio station. From 6 o'clock in the morning, there were liquor commercials and tobacco commercials. And I started for 4 years. I waged a one-man war against those commercials on prime time. And when I just was about to give up, they took those commercials off the air and pushed them back to after 10 o'clock. I'm not too sure if they're played now because I no longer listen to the radio here. But you guys swing a lot of power. So when you play commercials, people listen. That is why the advertisers advertise in prime time. So that's something we need to work on. Very, very, very effective, the spoken word. Have a great day. And Anita, we catch up later. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Joshua. All right. So yeah, it's a challenge, I suppose. It's a challenge, and it's a way to transition and integration. Because I don't necessarily think that just because something is traditional means that it has to be done away with completely. Correct. But you just need to find a way to revamp and integrate. The fossils, like Joshua called himself, and the younger persons, you have to find a way to get all together, whichever way. But I can imagine that it is a challenge and it is a struggle. So, yeah.
Yeah, somebody says there, I believe that different newspapers are aimed at different audiences. That is, a popular newspaper carries a 3-line paragraph, whereas a more serious one, the same story will be 5 paragraphs. The choice is yours.
True. All right, so we are going to head on out of this segment at this time. In about 2 minutes time, we will bring to you this morning's traffic talk. I almost say cop chat, but traffic talk, right? Listen, it's Monday, but I feel like I'm ready for Friday already. All right. All right, so let's head on out at this time.